and get started. First of all, I'd like to welcome you to the St. George Area Chambers, State of the City of St. George. So glad you're here with us today. Can you please stand with me, pledge our allegiance to our flag and our country? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. I just have a couple of announcements today before we get started. Tonight, 6 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn, we'll be having our third annual Southern Utah Networking Celebration. It will be the largest networking celebration in 2018. I just checked right before I left. There'll probably be close to 200 people there. So if you want to come and meet some people and do some networking and have some fun, it's in collaboration with B&I and Corporate Alliance and, of course, our St. George Area Chamber. The best part is it's free. Please sign up so they know how much food to have. After 40 years of service to St. George City, our city manager, Gary Esplin, will be retiring. Tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m., third floor at the Children's Museum on Main Street. Come and say thank you for a lifetime of service, and I think I saw Gary here. Gary, where are you? Sorry, Gary. You know, I have to embarrass you one last time, okay? Thank you. Pardon? Oh, good, okay. This Friday and Saturday, if you've not signed up for the Chamber's Women's Influence Center's Ignite Your Influence Conference, we have an award dinner on Friday night and all-day conference Saturday night. Please make sure and register for that. Registration will close at midnight tonight. Next week, Wednesday's training luncheon will feature Dr. Trevor Smith. Do you like that, Trevor? Where are you? I'm going to paraphrase his topic. I kind of looked it over, and this is the paraphrase. Please forgive me, Trevor. So, is your glass always half empty or half full? Come find out what makes the difference and how you can change your way of thinking. Does that work okay? Okay. Lastly, if you're 40 years or under, I want you to join us, our Young Professionals group, who will be going up to the Capitol on the 20th of February and the 21st. We've got a lot of great things planned. If you've never been up to the Capitol before, come join us with a bunch of just young professional friends and enjoy learning about our legislative system. And now, our guest speaker today needs no introduction. We all know and love Mayor Pike. Please give him a warm welcome.
It's a very graceful entrance, wasn't it? Thank you for being here today. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with, in particular, business and educational leaders. Other leaders. Want to just thank Pam Palermo and the Chamber of Commerce for hosting us again. I can't remember if this is this 4 times, Mark, we've done this? I think it's the 4th time. I know I've been mayor for 4 years, but, you know, I don't know. We always do this the first of the year, and it's something that we feel like is important to report to you, the community, business leaders, of course, as well as our citizens, and we do have people here that aren't necessarily members of the chamber, but are here in the regular seating there, and we appreciate also President Biff Williams, who's here. Biff, raise your hand. If you don't all know President Williams, you ought to. Thank you, Biff, for hosting us today in the chamber. And he has a number of his staff here today. Thank you. I want to just mention very next Mark Mortensen. He's sitting right here. Stand up, Mark. Mark's the reason this happens. So we need to give him a round of applause. There's a lot of effort that goes into it, and Mark is the one that coordinates all of it. So he is the assistant to the city manager. Also, we have a lot of people from the city of St. George here today, our department heads, our city manager, city council members. Would you all stand so that we can recognize you? Police department, fire department. We have 650 full-time employees at the city of St. George with another 300 or 400 part-time and seasonal workers. So it is a strong and busy organization. We're busy doing your work, and I appreciate all the work that is done by each and every member of the city family. I also would like to thank today and recognize our county commissioners. I see at least two of them, Zach Renstrom, Dean Cox. Where'd you go, Dean? I didn't see Victor. Is Victor here? He's on his way to Salt Lake. We'll give him a pass then. Yeah, not that they needed to be here. But I just want to say how much I appreciate our close affiliation with Washington County. We spent a lot of time together coordinating, again, for the benefit of the citizens of our county. And there's so much overlap, and we're able to do so many more things because of that. Appreciate my mayor colleagues, and I don't know if any of them were able to come. There were a couple that were maybe going to come. Any mayors here today besides me? Okay. We may see Kenny Nielsen from Washington, who is a great friend and colleague, and Mayor Chris Hart from Ivans. I just can't tell you how much those friendships and collaborative partnerships mean to me and to our city. And I need to thank my wife, who's sitting right here, Christy, the First Lady of St. George. I don't know that she likes that term, but too bad. Just talk to Kristen Williams. Right, Biff? Yeah, okay. Well, we have a great opportunity this afternoon, I guess, to first have a little bit of fun. So I've asked the St. George Musical Theater cast of Willy Wonka to come and sing a few songs to us to get us going in the right way. And so I'm going to turn the time over to Kristen McPhee, who will tee this up and tell you a couple of exciting things.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi, guys. Thank you for letting us come and perform for you. Like you said, we're from St. George Musical Theater. This is the cast of Roald Dahl's Willy Wonka. This isn't the whole cast. This is as many as their parents would allow them to leave school for the day to come and perform for you. So the performances run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday from now until the 24th of this February. And you can buy tickets at sgmusicaltheater.com. So I hope you enjoy your lovely performance of Willy Wonka.
If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no place I know to compare with pure imagination. There you'll be free if you truly wish to be. I am Willy Wonka. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm up for retirement. The chocolate world could not survive without me. There'd be no more chocolate ripples or chocolate tipples, chocolate ruffles or chocolate truffles, chocolate kisses for you young misses, soft and creamy, completely dreamy, or chocolate ices, 'cause chocolate prices would grow and grow and grow. The day that I retire, I know. I am going. No more. I'm sorry. I do have to go. I have many, many other things to do. When that time will grow and grow and grow. The day that I retire, I know. They're just not listening to me.
I never thought my life could be anything but catastrophe. But suddenly I begin to see a very good life for me. 'Cause I've got a golden ticket. I've got a golden twinkle in my eye. I never had a chance to shine, never a happy song to sing. But suddenly half the world is mine. What an amazing thing! 'Cause I've got a golden ticket. Got a golden sun up in the sky.
Just the last golden ticket I was finally found right here in the great city of St. George. What's your name, kid?
Charlie Bucket, sir.
Congratulations, Charlie Bucket. Your life's about to change.
Now Charlie makes everything he makes satisfying and delicious. Talk about your childhood wishes. We will help you eat the dishes. Who can take the sunrise? Sprinkling dew. Cover it chocolate, a miracle stew. I know that he can. We know that he can. He mixes it with what makes the world taste good.
World tastes good 'cause the candy man thinks it should.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here for Willy Wonka. Oh, I'm throwing golden tickets everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've been waiting for. The Oscar for the person best portraying the mayor goes to, oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong show. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Mayor's wife, I, Willy Wonka, would like to give you my highest regards for welcoming me to your beautiful city here in St. George, Utah. Thank you. And to show my appreciation, my Oompa Loompas have hidden 5 chairs under 5 Wonka bars. Oh, scratch. Reverse that. 5 Wonka bars under 5 chairs. My Oompa Loompas have hidden 5 of the delectable, delicious, golden Wonka bars under 5 of your seats. In one of those bars is hidden a golden ticket that will give you a free ticket to come and see me and all of these wonderful people behind me at St. George Musical Theater. So starting now, no, not right now, stop. Okay, right now. Now, go for it. Start looking at your seats, and if you find a delicious Wonka bar, please stand and wave it high over your head like you just don't care. I can see one, and you should be standing. Stand up, stand. Do we have one over here? Wave it high in the air. Okay, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3 and 4 and 5. We have 5. Now, on the count of 3, you will all open the candy bar to see if a delicious golden ticket is inside. 1, 2, 4, 6, 3. Go for it. The suspense is killing me.
Hey!
Good sir, come up. Tell us how this experience was for you.
Maury Kessler, St. George News.
St. George News, right here, winner of the golden ticket. What's your name, young man?
Maury Kessler.
Maury Kessler is the winner of the golden ticket, and you are going to go see Willy Wonka. Good man. You'll keep that, and you'll present that at the gates to me.
This is a most effervescent experience.
Effervescent. It's a big word. One of my favorite. Well, thank you. Good job. I'd also like to take just a few moments and thank our biggest fan here in the room, Mr. Mayor Jon Pike. And a token of our appreciation. If you'll come up here, Mr. Mayor. In the bicycle basket, which I did not write in, we have a shirt and a Willy Wonka chocolate bar.
Sweet.
Mr. Mayor has been to almost, sweet. I get what you're saying. It's a joke.
Don't get carried away,
Yeah,
right?
don't get carried away, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor has been to each one of our performances, or at least the majority of them. Most of them. And I don't understand, because the jokes have to start getting old.
You keep messing, kind of moving them around a little bit,
I do.
making them a little bit,
I do.
refreshing them,
There is
poking fun at the mayor.
There is a little poking fun at the mayor. Mr. Mayor, we appreciate you, and we appreciate your commitment to the arts. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Willie.
Thank you. And lastly, starting today, we are going to be hiding around town more Willy Wonka chocolate bars. The clues for the bars will be located on the St. George Musical Theater Facebook page and on Mr. Mayor's, Mr. Jon Pike's Facebook page as well. So go there, look for the clues, go find the Wonka bar, and I bet you'll be going to the play pretty soon. Thank you very much.
Wonderful job. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, you guys. Way to go. Way to go. Way to go. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, sis. Great job. Perfect. See you Thursday night. Isn't that fun? So, couple things before we go on. Besides the amazing Willy Wonka cast and St. George Musical Theater, we are so fortunate to have in our community other musical theater opportunities. Of course, Tuacahn out in Ivans and also their new group in Ivans at Kayenta, and it Stage Door here in St. George at the Electric Theater. Avita is going on starting February 14th through the 24th. That's at Stage Door, as I said, and at Brigham's Playhouse in Washington, the Big 5-0. I know several people in that production there that is going on right now. So go have some fun and enjoy the talent of our community. It's just awesome. And you know, I said to my good friend and colleague Mark Mortensen just before the election, there was an election last November, and I said to Mark, do you remember what I said? If I'm reelected, what are we going to do the next 4 years? He doesn't remember, but he will now. We said a lot of stuff. We're going to have more fun. I told the president that this morning. We need to have fun in what we're doing. In fact, Michael Jordan, do you remember him? Michael Jordan said this: just play, have fun, play the game, enjoy the game, sorry. So amidst all the work that we all have in our lives and at the city and everywhere else, I hope we can enjoy the journey, enjoy things like St. George Musical Theater. And who knew that Jared Davis, who's now left, would play such an amazing Willy Wonka. Just really a fun, great cast. I hope you can come and enjoy that, the whole play. Okay, let me move on. I just want to remind you from last year, we talked about our mission, vision, and values. It is our goal, our overriding mission, to provide services that focus on people and advance a thriving community. And I think the Chamber can identify with that as well as any other group. That is our goal. That is our mission. Our vision is we are an active community, rich in culture, with a diverse and vibrant economy that supports people doing great things. And that's you. That's where you come in. So thank you for being part of our vision. And one of the pillars you see there is active. And I think the county shares this. This is an active county. And so we are actively busy trying to, both for those who live here and those who come to play here, that they have activities. And it's extensive. These are our values. I hope that you will catch us modeling these values. There's more to it, but those are the general terms and what we hope to espouse and live. This is our city council. We've got several of them here today, and a couple that were out of town, and so we excuse them. But Jimmy Hughes, who's our senior member of the city council, and what's called the mayor pro tem. In the mayor's absence, Jimmy Hughes is the mayor. Thank you, Jimmy, for all you do. Raise your hand. There's Jimmy. Michelle Randall, raise your hand. Next in seniority and just recently re-elected by a landslide. Thank you. And Ed Baca, elected over 2 years ago. Raise your hand, Ed. Everyone sees Ed. Not here today, Joe Bocut and Betty Ariel, just out of town with their families. It's where they should be. So appreciate all of these awesome people. They're so wonderful to work with. And then Gary Esplin and I, we'll talk a little bit more about Gary later. But as Pam mentioned, 41 short years, Gary Esplin has been the city manager of St. George. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. Appreciate his incredible guidance for that incredible span of time. I want to remind you, and I'm not sure that some of you ever saw this or heard about it, but our logo that we rebranded ourselves with as part of our rebranding efforts, it means a number of things, and I'm not sure you can read them from there, but going from left to right, it means the sun, tourism, destination, retirement. The second symbol you might see as you look at that sunburst is Native American roots, a heritage of pioneers. enterprise, industry, invention, community reaching out. Picture those as people standing together in a circle, reaching out, allowing others in. Communication, open doors, transparency, and leadership, a beacon to others. These are some of the things that when we were reviewing this new logo a couple of years ago that we wanted to say about our city and our citizens. So I wanted you to know that so that when you see it on our vehicles and City Hall and our other buildings and parks, you'll have at least remember a couple of those things that we intend to say about our city and our brand. Sorry, I'm going to back up one. So I always like to tell you a little bit about what's gone on in terms of building. And again, I'll tell you all these things so you can hear, so if you can't see. We've had an incredible couple of years. We've had some major projects. Keep in mind, these don't include like the UDOT projects. These are those that pay impact fees for their projects, so it does not include UDOT projects like the $24 million project for widening I-15 between exits 4 and 5 last year, or Bluff Street this year. But it includes the others. So last year, total valuation was $477 million of the projects, commercial, residential, that occurred in the city. This year, it's slightly lower, $368 million. Now, I'm not worried about that at all, because when you see where we were a couple of years ago at 191, that's a little more common. Picture the hospital in this, which is let's see, $300 million project, Scott, right? 500,000 square feet, $300 million project for that little expansion. 4 buildings, essentially, that Dixie Regional Medical Center is building. So that adds a lot to that, but you can see single family is still, incline, but not too rapid. We're growing at a sustainable pace. You can see the others there. Total is 1,803 building permits for this year. Last year was 1,777. So you can see where we're going. Fairly, we're on the increase, but not too much. Growing at around 3%-ish. And that's good. That's sustainable. So just to talk about a few of the things we're up to, and I'll kind of zip through a lot of these. This is the Halfway Wash Trail connection that we made. We're trying now to connect more of our trails to the roads and sidewalks so that you can get around and not just necessarily use the trails for recreation, though that's great. We want you to be able to connect to the roads around the community. So you will see more of this where we can. We showed you a little bit of this last year, but we completed the 2 new soccer fields, the newest soccer fields at Little Valley, which is really our field sports complex. A lot of soccer, but of course rugby and lacrosse, football, other things can happen there too. So great state-of-the-art fields that drain properly. It's hard to grow grass, especially in that area of town. So we've had some issues there. We still have some more on the corner field. We're redoing that now. So next year we'll show you that. But we're doing this right. We believe if you're going to do this with public funds, we ought to do it right and have it last. These were done largely with RAP tax funds. I want you to remember that, because in another few years, you'll be asked to evaluate the success of the RAP, Recreation, Arts, and Parks program. These and the pickleball courts close by are 2 of the major projects that the RAP tax has helped fund on the recreation and park side of things. This is one of 3 new fire trucks. These babies aren't cheap, but we don't throw away fire trucks. Where's our chief? Is Chief Stoker here? We don't give those up, do we? We still got that Studebaker in service, don't we? Well, not really in service, but the city council rides on it in parades. So, but we keep them. We will probably not keep all the trucks we currently have, but we have 3 new trucks. Last year, the year before, we got a new ladder truck, which helped save houses up by the D a couple weeks ago. If we didn't have that ladder truck, I don't think it would have gone as well. Chief, do you? Yeah, it was really impressive to watch them attack that home below the D. So we thank our fire department and their incredible efforts. Again, those are the folks that run in to fires when we're all supposed to be going out. So thank you, Chief, and all of your staff. So this picture is of one of our dispatchers, and we operate the dispatch center, 911 dispatch center, for the entire area, the county. And it's a big deal. These are tough jobs, and sometimes it's tough to keep these folks, but because it's a very stressful job. They do a fantastic job. I talked to some of them just last week to thank them, and I just wanted to let you know that we've updated their software this past year for better compatibility with today's more techie communication devices for prompt response, such as texting for your emergency response. Can you text 911? Yes, you can through this service. So I wanted to know about that. We'll tell you more about that in the future, but. Also just want to mention how much we appreciate our police department. Dispatch is part of them. I said this last year, and I'll probably say it every year, but all the things that we together do, all the things that we do as city workers or as citizens mean nothing if we're not safe, and if we don't protect this incredible quality of life that we have in St. George. So again, another round of applause for our police department. You should always know that the City Council, they put public safety number one, and these folks are incredibly well trained. We certainly try to make sure they're incredibly well equipped, and they are just incredible people. I do not believe there is a better group of individuals anywhere in the country operating a police department. So thank you, Chief Stratton, and all of your team. Okay, shifting a little bit, just wanted to mention this new quarter-of-a-mile trail on the south side of the Virgin River. It goes under River Road. It connects to what's called the Rustic Trailhead just east of the Maverick, if you know what I'm talking about there. And beyond that, I'm going to stay there for a minute, we'll expand that trail to go down further to the Springs area. So watch for that. Also want to mention that, we build these parks, and we try to be judicious about it. They're built with what are called impact fees. So new growth funds new parks. But you've got to, like the president knows, and the school district knows, and the county knows, you got to operate and maintain these things. You got to replace things. So at what we now call the Sandtown Park, Bluff Street, North Bluff, we replaced their playground and the surface there this past year, and we have a list so that we try to do that before they're completely dilapidated, and they do get used, and that's good. We want them to get used and used well. So we also installed this year, or built our Parks Department, restroom facilities and a pavilion at St. James Park and Trailhead. And there's a lot of grass there, and we believe that's a good way to foster, not everyone has to have as much grass as the city has, but we want to bring people there to do the various sports practices. This isn't so much a competitive, game site, but it's a great place for playing. I've seen remote control airplanes used there and all kinds of things. I hope they're legal, Sean, but I see them there. Anyway, the next slide. In 2017, our Energy Services Department, remember, we have our own power company, St. George Power, but we also share that responsibility with Dixie Power, who we have a great relationship with. But St. George Power Energy Services upgraded 900 streetlights this last year with LED technology that requires 75% less energy. So we will continue doing that, and that's, I think, a responsible way to to use your tax dollars. And it also allows us to dim the lights a little bit better when appropriate. I want to mention that our public Works Director and Department, Cameron Cutler, who's here, did this detention basin. Not a very sexy thing, but you got to do these things to protect us from the water coming off the bluff just up by Pioneer Park. That was another accomplishment of this year. This was a pretty sexy thing. Really, it's a UDOT project, as I mentioned before. So wonderful to get it finished, so much more safe, especially from that near suicide entry that you had during construction. We're grateful to have such great partners with UDOT in expanding I-15. 2016 to the north, 2017 to the south, and North Bluff Street this year. Let's see. Oh, also, I want to just mention, Mark wanted to make sure I mentioned that if you look over here on this side, they've made it so that we could, at some future time, connect our trail over here and run a new trail along the river here if we choose to do that. Part of this project, when they built this wall, they had to rebuild the bike and walking path there on that side, and it's much improved because of everything they did. So we appreciate our UDOT partners. In 2017, Switch Point served 1,200 individuals experiencing homelessness. 414 of those were children. 1.5 million pounds of food were distributed by 4,400 volunteers. And what you see here on this slide is a pavilion that was recently constructed to provide shade in the backyard there of Switch Point. What you'll see in the next slide is their community garden right there at Switch Point that is used to feed people that are in need. And so right there, individuals, volunteers from the community, as well as those that live at Switch Point, help grow that garden. And you also see in this very room the packaging event that is held here through, I believe it's United Way Dixie, Rebecca Pechtel, and they'll be doing that again shortly. And they last year produced, I'm trying to remember, is that, well, we had, I don't know, I would say hundreds of people here, but that produces enough food for many, many people during the year. So volunteer again with that. In a similar vein, we have a great group of individuals, largely volunteers, who envisioned and created the St. George Bicycle Collective. It was opened in October of last year and is given away or sold at a very low cost over 100 bikes to area residents. These bikes are donated and then fixed, repaired by volunteers. We have, I believe, one full-time director and another part-time person that are paid through donations, but most of them are volunteers. And I know I've got one bike in there that they have repurposed and given or sold to someone. So it's a great way to help people get around and, again, move around on our trails and roads. Next, George Street Fest has operated for several years. Just wanted to give them a shout out and appreciate them and their partnership with the city and the downtown merchants. They're retooling it a little bit, but they will be starting up again in March. And their plan is now to not operate in November, December, January, and February, but go the rest of the year. So we hope you'll go in and enjoy that and support your fellow business people downtown on the first Friday of all the other months. Okay, so events, as I mentioned earlier, bring in approximately, according to the county tourism, $78 million into of economic development into Washington County every year. A large portion of those events occur either partially or entirely in St. George. That's a big deal for us. I think it's a big deal for most of you. And while it takes a lot of effort on all of our part, I believe it's worth it. It sends the kind of message that I think we want to send, again, that we are an economy that thrives on our beautiful environment and opportunities for activity. So we appreciate, again, our partners with the Washington County Tourism, our commissioners, and all of their efforts, and Kevin Lewis and all those that work with them to make that happen. And there's more happening ahead. You might have noticed a couple of bikes up on stage here. In fact, we can already take credit for the first thing of this year, which is with the county tourism, with Intermountain Healthcare's Dixie Regional Medical Center, Select Health, and Brad Haar and Associates, Dixie State University. Did I leave anyone out? Got them. We have started the new Zagster Live Well St. George bike share program last month. And this is where it's first of all, it's app-based. So if you have a smartphone, you go to find the Zagster app, you download it, and you can go find one of the 10 stations right now that we have around Central St. George, and you can go ride for an hour, two, whatever you want to do. If you want to have, if you're a student at Dixie State, you can buy a year-long membership for $15, and then the first hour is no cost every time you rent. If you're one of us, non-students, $30 annual membership, and again, first hour free. You can ride it for longer than that. They'll just charge you a mere $2 an hour. Is that right, Mark? Yep. So we're excited to launch this with our amazing partners, and if you look a little bit, you'll see there are a couple of stations right here at Dixie State. The one you see here on the screen is at the Dixie Center, and while that is a large station, there are not usually that many bikes there. That was the day we launched, and so we had a good time, didn't we, President and others, riding a quick inaugural zip around the Dixie Center parking lot. So anyway, 55 bikes so far. By the end of the year, it's my goal that, and next year I hope we can tell you, there will be 100 bikes and 20 stations. I think we'll get that. I want you to know that, again, I mentioned the sponsors. There are actually no local tax dollars going into the operation of this program. No local tax dollars. There are some tourism funds that are paid by others that come here, and this is largely going to be a tourism thing, but we hope you'll use it too. And as we get more sponsors and more stations around town, I think you'll want to and you'll be able to. Just instead of getting in your car, hop on a bike. It's quick, easy. I've done it. I'm a member now, and it's going to be, I think, a great way for us to move and be a little healthier and just, again, have some fun while we're going from the city to the county, or from the county to the city, or downtown to have a nice, healthy lunch, right? And so we look forward to that. Sponsorships vary in expense, but we appreciate the sponsors that have gotten us started. So we plan this year to build a new fire station in Little Valley. We just have a couple things, right, Gary, that we haven't been able to quite get done, but we've got a road we've got to get the rights to and build right adjoining it. But that is next. You'll see that happen soon in 2018 on what's called Commerce Drive, just the extension of that over in Little Valley. Also want to mention we will be building some new parks. You have on your table, in fact, a nice piece that Mark put together and all of our department heads contributed to that detail the things that we accomplished last year and that we plan to do this year. It lists more than what I'm listing here. But one of them will be Sunset Park Phase 2, and this will be a great opportunity for the people that live in that area. It's designed and planned to be a more what we call a neighborhood park, a little smaller. It's not meant for lots and lots of people to come to. It's meant for a neighborhood to come and enjoy. So that's coming. Worthen Park, you might have noticed downtown, has been getting an overhaul. And if you drive by there today, you'll see we moved, and kind of the primary reason we did this, the City Council really felt strongly, and I agree with their concern. The playground was right there on 400 South, on 400 East, Flood Street, and we were just always nervous. We thought we ought to move that more to the center of the park. We've done that. It's being getting into the final stages now. We'll have some nice covered playground area, and we've put a walking path all the way around it, and you'll have off-street parking for the first time up along the north end. So look to that to be completed soon. Also, this was the new section of trail I mentioned. We'd be building this year, connecting the rustic trailhead over by the Maverick off of River Road, 1450 South, to the Springs Park along that area. Also, a pedestrian bridge. You've seen this construction over at the River Road Bridge between Riverside Drive and 1450 South. What we're doing is combining a couple projects in the water department with the ability to get people walking and riding bikes off of River Road and onto a pedestrian bridge. And so that'll be great. We'll have pipes underneath it that we need, and then we'll have the pedestrian bike path on the top. We hope that will be completed in, I don't know, what are we saying? April, should we say? Scott? All right. Cameron? Yeah, something like that. And so we appreciate the out-of-the-box thinking. I think that was probably you, Scott, that thought of that. Scott Taylor, our water department manager. So, and in fact, you'll see River Road in the next few years. We'll be designing an expansion of River Road between Riverside Drive and 1450. Have you ever noticed that to bottle up, especially if you're trying to turn left from River Road onto Riverside? You'll see Cameron. He's got some plans for that. And so that's one of the other reasons why we did this with the trail and the pipes, so we could have a little more room to deal with the actual road and moving cars, because we know that's going to become a busier road. We will soon be building, with the help of, again, RAP tax funds and county tourism funds, we will be building a bike park, a bicycle skills park, we call it, at Sand Hollow Wash, which is over near the Sand Hollow Aquatic Center. Don't ever let Santa Clara claim this. This is ours, right, Gary? This is St. George, okay? Anyway, my good friend Mayor Rosenberg, they're welcome to use it, but we're claiming ownership of this bicycle skills park. We're excited. This is going to be incredible. Again, this will go pretty fast. We're ready to go to bid now, and we'll probably have it built. Again, I don't want to commit because I'll be wrong if I commit, but hopefully this summer. I'll say that. That safe, Gary? Before that, we're hoping. We would love, Bicycle Month is May. We would love to have it done in May. If we can, we'll let you know. Love to have you come and see it. This will not only be for locals, this will be another tourism issue, and that's why the County Commission has seen fit through the convention and tourism side of things to help fund this. And we can do a lot with not too much money in this kind of a park. We'll have lots of volunteer labor that will help us do it. Excited for that. Suntran will have a new look. We'll have 4 new buses that are either out there or getting out there right now. And I saw one of them the other day, just kind of more fitting of our brand. We've got to update them occasionally. They get a lot of miles on them. The old buses had over 500,000 miles on them. So it was time for some updates. I want to mention that downtown we have the Conceptual Arts District signage that you'll see going up before too long that will help in the wayfinding of those who live here and of course those who visit especially, to find their way around our arts district that is not just beginning, it's not just budding, it's there. And we've got a great a great story to tell there, and especially those that are visiting. So watch for that. You can see an idea of what those signs will look like. Now again, while it may not be as sexy, wastewater treatment is important. And I tell the high school kids that when I go speak to them. I ask them, what kinds of services do you think the city should be doing or that we're told to do? And they usually don't come up with sewer. But when I say that, they say, ew. But I always ask them, Scott, you'd appreciate this. I say, how long would you be okay with going without flushing your toilet? It never goes beyond a day, Scott. So usually we want it to work every time. And so we will be expanding our wastewater treatment facility. Are we approximately doubling the capacity? Scott, don't let me lie. 17 to 24, not quite doubling. We frankly thought we'd be doing it sooner, but because you've all been saving water and doing your low volume flush toilets, it's held us longer. And so we will be doing that here, and it will be a lot of money, but Scott's got it planned, well planned, and we'll be funding it, some through cash, probably some through bonds, but we are on top of this, and we appreciate, again, our people that make that very necessary part of our city operations happen. Okay, so for those of you that golf at Dixie Red Hills Golf Course, last year I showed you this same slide. That clubhouse has not been built yet. The building economy, or the building climate, as you know, is pretty hot. And so we are going to rebid that soon. We're still committed to build that new clubhouse. The current one there has been around for a couple years. And I don't know, Gary, 50? How many? 1965, it's 52 years old. That's me. That year I was born. So you don't get a new me, but you get a new Red Hills Golf Course clubhouse, hopefully in the next year. So this is where I have to do this. It didn't work. We'll try it again. Got to get to the black slide. There.
From its beginning, the St. George area has been renowned for its skyline of red rock bluffs and mesas. The layout of neighborhoods and roads have adapted to this unique landscape. West Black Ridge, a prominent bluff in the area, creates a natural boundary between the east and west sides of the community. Bluff Street moves drivers along this massive landmark to other roads. As the community grows on both sides of the ridge, more and more stress is placed on Bluff Street, leading to long lines of cars turning onto Bluff Street from St. George Boulevard, and even more cars waiting to turn off of Bluff Street onto Sunset Boulevard. To prepare for future growth, UDOT and the City of St. George have designed a safer, more efficient Bluff Street along West Black Ridge. Here's what's happening. First, rather than waiting at a stoplight, drivers on St. George Boulevard will have a free right turn lane that gets them directly onto Bluff Street without any lights, speeding up the flow of traffic. Second, UDOT will widen Bluff Street along West Black Ridge, adding extra lanes for vehicles and creating more space for bicycles. On the north end of the ridge, Bluff Street intersects with Sunset Boulevard, a crowded intersection. Currently, this intersection directs the flow of traffic to the north. Left-turning cars have to wait for the green arrow to get onto Sunset Boulevard, creating long lines of vehicles in the left-hand turn lane. UDOT's improved design will direct the flow of traffic to the west, where it turns into Sunset Boulevard. This means instead of waiting in the left-hand turn lane, you simply follow the main flow of traffic around the ridge. Only vehicles in the outside lane will continue north on Bluff Street. While making these improvements, UDOT will add a pedestrian tunnel at Bluff Street and Sunset Boulevard where people can cross safely. Computer models predict that these simple enhancements will improve the commute along Bluff Street for decades to come. UDOT, keeping Utah moving.
I thought that was a great video put together by UDOT. Does that explain it a little bit better? It's a mess over there. It's going to be until probably about November. But what again, with this audience, I want to certainly highlight, businesses are open. And in fact, last Thursday, the City Council passed an ordinance that gives them a little bit of flexibility with their signage, to add some signage to make sure people know we're still here and we want to still be here to serve you. So we're getting the word out to those businesses now that they'll be able to do that, much like we did with the reconstruction of St. George Boulevard a few years back. So we appreciate them, and while we think it's smart to avoid Bluff Street if you're just going through, there are other ways you can maybe reroute yourself, but business is still open. We want you to use it for business. Okay, have to just play this little drone video over at the hospital. Talked about it earlier. Again, what you see happening there, this building is going to be called the Precision Health Center, most likely. Is that right, Scott and Terry? Cancer is the old term. This is much more than a cancer center. This is where precision medicine, genomics, some of you have heard of this before, and the things that are going on here that are world-class, led by our local oncologists. Just an incredible thing. And as I said, you also have, on the other side of the Rimrock Wash, you have the expansion of Dixie Regional on the northeast. You have the new women's pavilion, Women's and Children's Pavilion on the north. And then on the southeast, an additional patient tower, which will house a number of your medical surgical floors, as well as, I think, is the mental health unit on the south, or is that on the north? That's on the north. And your rehab, long-term rehab, is on the southeast. And then you'll see that when this all finishes, you'll also notice they're building some parking over in what we call the Four-Master Bowl over here behind this to the east. That's where Terry and I get to park, and Scott, right? The employees will be parking far away. Patients will have all the closer parking, and we'll shuttle and valet patients when we need to, and even employees from the farthest parking lots. So trying to make the best use of our healthcare dollars by spending the money on the clinical facilities and not on parking structures. Maybe in the future they'll do that. They'll do what's needed, but I think you can see that's an existing footbridge. Another footbridge has been added there that will help allow people, employees as well as patients, to walk across those and then to enjoy the trail that goes through the Rimrock Wash. We hope maybe at some point that may connect to a city trail system on the other side of Four-Master and even north of Medical Center Drive. We'll see how that goes in the future. So again, just a little 500,000 square foot expansion and $300 million that, again, I'd like to give my employer, my day job, and all of them that make that happen, and their governing board members, a round of applause for what they're doing for our community. Just a few shots. You can already see this is a rendering, but that's pretty much what it looks like today. And then you'll see the Precision Health Center as well over on the east side of the wash. And what you'll see starting to happen in March are those individual buildings, if you will start opening, with a grand opening planned in September. Is that right, Terry? September 12th. They've got it all getting worked out. And then I think the last things will be finished up in October-ish as they go in and finish up some odds and ends and fix a few things that have to be adjusted once everything's open. So great project for our city and our citizens. This is the future Dixie State University Human Performance Center that you saw. It's now officially, ground has broken. They're working on it. It's a President, $50 million? $55 million, who's counting? $55 million project. This will change the landscape of St. George and Dixie State University, adding much needed services to their growing student population. You all also know, you see them building the East Grandstand that will add another 5,000 seat capacity to the football stadium, which is now called Legend Solar Stadium. So new track last year, new field last year. Now you'll have the 5,000 extra seats. And President already has, and Jordan, they've already got everything, all kinds of new events slated to operate there that I won't mention today, but great for our future. Student housing, this is the Vintage that's already open with a number of students living therein. Just a few shots of that. And then this is what's called 605 Place on Tabernacle. This really is at the old Sunburst Plaza, if you know where that is, and some surrounding properties. And you see that going vertical, very much vertical now. They will have at least some of those beds ready for August, right, President? These are private projects, folks. These aren't the university's projects, but they are very happy to have sold some of the property that the university owned to make this current one happen. Just some more renderings. This is now City View. This is from the Tabernacle Street. This is, again, downtown. This is the mixed-use project with retail on the main floor and resident, apartment living on the upper floors. We broke ground in December, and Gary's going to retire here, as we said, in a few days. I'm going to hire him and put a contract out on PEG development to get things really moving there. A good contract, a good kind. But no, anyway, they will be moving. It's a complex project, and they're the same company that's building 605 student housing. So they got a couple things going on in town, but that is going to be moving. You'll see at least some of that be complete here by the end of the year, I fully believe. Just a couple of other shots. This is from St. George Boulevard perspective, looking through between, really, this is an apartment building with the retail on the bottom. This, you can't see much of it, but this is the Marriott Hotel. They have a boutique brand hotel that will be on the corner right next to Bear Paw. That will house, by the way, 110 apartment units and 60 hotel rooms. So that's a big complex. This is Jewel Plaza, the old Wilkinson Electric property. You see the building down. This is but now and they haven't really broken ground yet. Similar kind of project, mixed use. We were trying to encourage that downtown, so you live, work, and play downtown. Retail, office on the main floor, apartment living on the upper 3 or 4 floors. So you will begin to see that. That's 197 units, 197 apartments. I want to highlight these again this year because one, they're close to breaking ground, and two, because I want to make sure people know that the market is going to be catching up. We know we need rental properties. The market will be catching up this year. Some of it will take a little longer, but this one's going to be faster. Legacy Ridge Apartments on the other side of Four-Master Ridge. You see this very much vertical now. This will be 160 units of rental apartments. Again, on the east side of the East Black Ridge, or Four-Master Ridge. So you'll see that, and that's kind of what, this is another one, Greyhawk Apartments, that's being built it's on the river's edge, which is right there by the new Smith's Marketplace, right by the Virgin River. That will have 244 units. So again, if we can just make it just a little longer, these will start coming online this year, some in the next year, some in 18 months. This will really help our local residential economy. Desert Color, if you went to the Economic Summit, you saw a little bit on this. This is just a little 3,600-acre development at Exit 2. Nothing to see here. This will be huge. There will someday, and this is going to take some time. It's not going to happen all at once. You'll hear more about this, and I've already heard more just in the last couple weeks than I knew until then. But they will be very much water conscious, despite the lakes that you saw in their presentation. They know how to do that. They know they will use far less water than a golf course would use, for example. And actually, all of the landscaping in that development will be very much xeriscape. But they will have some water features that will make it a very attractive place to live, work, and play. Again, that's a 25 to 30-year kind of timeline project that being built by a group, a big group, but headed by the Clyde companies. And so you'll see more as we work through what's called a development agreement to put that all together and show you the mix of commercial and residential properties that will be there. That's called Desert Color. Finally, Tech Ridge. Tech Ridge is an expansion, as you know, it's already, we've got the Dixie Technical College that's open up on the old airport site, but Tech Ridge is really going to help us, in a sense, very real sense, I hope, expand our downtown. And so you're just seeing here a basic design of what it might look like, but it's 160 acres plus the 30 acres that Dixie Technical College already has, that will really hopefully give us a place that will be private and public. At the heart of this will be a pavilion and a park, a legacy park, if you will, that will be ours, and ours to use as well as those that live, work, and play up on Tech Ridge. Last week, the City Council approved a property sale and option for, first of all, the first 10 acres, but the future, the rest of the property, to Tech Ridge LLC. What that means is they want to get started quickly to build their first building, which will house Printer Logic, one of our homegrown tech companies, and also Busy. Isaac Barlow, Busy, Ryan Weedig, and his group at Printer Logic. We believe that this will provide an opportunity for what we call the critical mass to be able to attract and keep tech companies here in St. George. We're not going to attract Amazon here, at least not just yet. But we're going to build those companies, which is very much what Utah County did. And I want to mention that our tech community has an agreement with the really very much an incredible marketing group, if you will, called Silicon Slopes. Have you ever heard of them? Well, we're going to be our own chapter, Silicon Slopes St. George. And so yes, it's a very good thing. So we are excited about those connections and the opportunity to market our area like Silicon Slopes has done so well in northern Utah. And again, what we hope we'll see, not just at Tech Ridge, but certainly at Tech Ridge, will be a wonderful opportunity for people with park space and trails and secondary access to the Black Ridge through two other roads going from the southeast and the southwest up to the top of the ridge to give them the access they'll need. Restaurants, other commercial, lodging, some high-density residential. Won't be R110 residential, but it'll be apartments, condos, townhomes, that kind of living on the ridge. So watch for more of that. Just a few slides of what you might see. That's a glance of the pavilion that'll be in the, for sure in the next 4 years, that pavilion will be built. And the public will be able to use that. Some of the buildings, just some concepts of what you might see at Tech Ridge. Some of the things they're thinking about at other places that they hope to bring to Tech Ridge. This is why the City Council chose Tech Ridge LLC. They put together an incredible package and design that we believe is perfect for St. George. Just wanted to mention SkyWest is an amazing partner. Again, we added this last year the LA flight in conjunction with SkyWest, United Airlines, and the City of St. George and Washington County through tourism funds helped to get them started with some backstop funds, as we did with the Phoenix flight. We also this year, through SkyWest and American Airlines, added a second Phoenix flight. So you now have 4 different destinations through 3 major worldwide carriers of Delta, United, and American, 3 of the biggest airlines in the world that we have access to, and gives us, with one hop, hundreds of opportunities of direct flights to other places. So we are having a few changes just as we finish up, kind of a big one. We have hired a new city manager. His name is Adam Lenhard. He's currently the city, well, he's not currently anymore, but he was the city manager of Clearfield City up in northern Utah. He's a great gentleman with great experience and resume, and we look forward to introducing you to him soon. He'll be here, in fact, tonight, and we'll be meeting with Gary Esplin probably all day tomorrow, I imagine, for a good handoff. But the City Council was unanimous in their support of this selection of Adam. We're excited to have him here. So, this guy. Can you see that picture? So, did anyone see those Oceans movies? What was his name? Nick Clooney said to Brad Pitt that Ted Nugent wants his shirt back, Gary. So anyway, that's from about 1970, I don't know, 76. Gary was hired as an intern for the summer of 75, and at $1.92 an hour. That was high pay in those days. And you know, you couldn't get jobs in St. George. Gary then came back after he finished his master's degree, his MPA. He came back, he landed a great kind of assistant to the city manager job. And very quickly, unfortunately, the city manager passed away, and Gary got the nod to take over as city manager in 1976, December 23rd, I believe, 1976. So a mere 41 years ago. He lost the mustache eventually, and moved offices once in a while. This was not that long ago. Mark says he remembers that. 19 years ago? Okay. So there's Gary Esplin. We were a city of 12,500 people when Gary was hired. We're now a city of, who knows, 85,000-ish on a bad day. On the weekends and holidays, of course, we're probably well above 100,000 people that have homes here, second homes, and so forth. So when you consider all those things and all of the parks, the trails, I really think we have to give incredible amount of credit to Gary Esplin. Much of this, he is the constant over the 41 years. He's had, I don't know how many city council members. Gary, how many was it? About 21. And was it 4 mayors? I don't know how he survived all those elected officials, including this one. But he's just done an incredible job of guiding the city and I believe appropriately with the elected officials and the citizens and all of the employees of the city to make what we see today happen. So, yeah. As Pam, yes, thank you very much. Well deserved. The City Council last week proclaimed Friday this week as Gary S. Esplin Day. So I hope you'll give it the proper attention and salute at least once during that day City Hall, where Gary Esplin will grace us with his presence for that one last day, and he'll come visit. We told him he's going to have nothing to do on Thursday nights, so I know he'll come with Deanna, his good wife, to come visit us often. So anyway, Gary Esplin and Gary S. Esplin Day. Gary would be the first one to say that it takes a lot of people. It takes many hands. And so I heard this quote the other day from Helen Keller that says, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." And that's how St. George and Washington County works. It works because we're all in this together. We couldn't accomplish everything without each one of you, your businesses, your families, your friends. I hope you'll continue to be great ambassadors. Let us know how we can improve. We'll do our very best to do so with the resources that you provide us. Thank you very much. Let's have a wonderful afternoon, and looking forward to much more happening ahead. Thank you. Thanks. Yep.